Hello everyone and welcome to the second in a series of videos that deal with AQA GCSE English Language, Paper 1, Question 5, Creative or Imaginative Writing based around the panoramic picture of Southwark Fair. Please make sure you have watched the first video in this series, linked below in the video description, otherwise the things discussed in this lesson won't make complete sense. Okay, with that in mind from this point I'm going to assume that you have at least watched the first video, if not participated in the activities within it, and therefore you should remember that we looked at two pictures, one of an old factory or mill in which 3 people featured, and a picture of a busy fair from the 18th century. Along the way you were introduced to the CCTV and pile methods of creative writing, before finally you were tasked with writing a creative response to the fair picture using these techniques and taking into consideration the success criteria that the exam board expect you to meet. These are AO5, communicate clearly, effectively and imaginatively, selecting and adapting tone, style and register for different forms, purposes and audiences. Organise information and ideas using structural and grammatical features to support coherence and cohesion of text. And AO6, use a range of vocabulary and sentence structures for clarity, purpose and effect with accurate spelling and punctuation. I'm going to walk you through my response both as a whole, and then in this lesson we are going to focus on the first paragraph of your writing and first step into the CCTV process, the big picture or TBD. With that in mind, today's learning question is, can I improve upon the opening paragraph of my creative writing, the big picture or TBP, based around the Southwark Fair picture? So before I show you my model answer, I want you to look up the definitions of and find at least one synonym for the following words. You can download the task sheet and type and write onto this, or you could just write these definitions in your notebook. You have 10 minutes to do this. Now that you have completed this task, you should have a group of words, definitions and synonyms that look something like this. Now you may be angrily asking yourself, I thought this was a video about creative writing, not a vocabulary test. Why have I just spent the last 10 minutes looking up words and synonyms? Or in other words, I feel reluctant to continue with this lesson. I was anticipating a task that taught me how to improve my creative writing skills. However, I now feel ill will towards the creator of this video, as the reason I have been asked to do this is indistinct. What I have done there is take a simply stated phrase and enhanced it with vocabulary choices that you will have discovered over the course of this series of lessons. And that is one of the main focuses of today's lesson. AO6, spelling, punctuation and grammar, or more simply, not what you say or write, but how you say it or write it. So moving on to my model answer. Here is the picture and question again. Write a description suggested by this picture. The clamour and anticipation has been building for days, since the first posters advertising the fair appeared in local shops and stuck to the posts of gas lights. There has been a certain nervous excitement in the air. Children make secret plans to attend without their parents, and mothers and fathers reluctantly agree to their children just once, not knowing of their children's devious endeavours. Like a moth to flame, children gravitate towards the bustle and rowdiness of the sideshows and freak exhibits. Parents repel like opposing magnetic poles, considering the inconvenience of pickpockets and the violent encounters with out-of-towners. It is against this backdrop that a crowd amasses here today, marching like ants in unison from the neighbouring terraces, alleys and public houses. However, as soon as they arrive at the fair's location, all sense of discipline and thereby commonality with ants is lost, as chaotically every individual scatters around the various exhibits, whooping, shouting and barging. A boxing ring takes pride of place in the centre of the common. Lengths of chain make up the ropes that set the perimeter. Originally the canvas mat was an off-shade of white, like a ship's sail. Today, however, it looks like a mortician's slab, adorned with the bloodstains and bits of flesh. Flies buzz around what they must think to be carrion, land amongst the human detritus and then move away quickly, obviously dissatisfied with this potential spot for egg laying. Suddenly, the uneasy vacantness of the boxing ring and the indistinct chatter at its edge is broken when a member of the fair staff bellows through a megaphone that Ivan the Terrible, from Basingstoke but pretending to be from the Siberian wastes, is ready to fight the next brave volunteer. Who will be man enough, he goads. Who will seek victory against the Slavonic brute, he continues. Eventually, a rather large, burly man pushes his way through the crowd, his confidence stilled by alcohol. Unfortunately, his stride is not, as he is clearly seen to stagger and stumble slightly as he moves closer to the perimeter of the ring. The crowd laugh in anticipation. They predict silently that he will be knocked down, but not before being made a fool of. He belches as he climbs the 3 steps to the canvas and struggles to negotiate the chains. The air is filled with the sour smell of whiskey and day-old sweat. The contender exudes contempt, the audience ill will. As the bell tolls, signalling the prize fighter's demise, a loud creaking sound and the splitting of timber can be heard. The whole cast of a sideshow at curtain call tumble to the ground as the stage collapses under them. On a normal day, such a disaster would prompt the worried shouts of onlookers. Some passers-by would stop to pull those struggling to get out of the pile of timber and bodies. But today is fair day and nothing will stop the fairgoers' pursuit of fun and excitement. Sense and sensibilities dulled by alcohol, many people continue distracted by the amusement they are enthralled with, or view the demise of the stage act to be an amusement in itself. It seems only young children who tug on their parents' coat-tails or dresses to alert them to the enormity of the situation are affected in any normal way. Watchmen try to make their way to the stage after several minutes has elapsed, yet their progress is hindered by the dense crowds and the brave pickpockets who think it's some sort of challenge or achievement to pick the pocket of a law enforcer and get away with it. One has his truncheon artfully relieved from its belt loop, and the other's wallet is emancipated from the confines of his overcoat pocket. By the time they arrive at the epicentre of the chaos, energy sapped and dejected, they make a laboured attempt to lift lengths of broken timber and pieces of lamp glass from the mound of thespians. The peep show trailer is left almost as an afterthought to the side of the exit to the common. Consequently, 2 teenage boys make mischief. One to the left repeatedly twists the padlock to a hatch almost subconsciously, like it is his life purpose to vandalise and damage, but with no real outcome in mind. His counterpart to the right is much more focused on his mission to get into the enclosure and begins twisting the steel bars on his opposing hatch, bending them out of shape before clambering in and laying next to the mermaid corpse. His intention was to scare would-be viewers of the exhibit by rising from the dead like a zombie. However, bored after waiting for 10 minutes for a non-existent victim, he clambers out, dejected, and saunters home, his efforts wasted. Now you may be thinking that I cannot write something like that. The vocabulary choices are too difficult and the way it is phrased is too complicated. But hopefully, if we take this paragraph by paragraph and analyse it how it has been constructed, you too will be able to write something similar. So, in the last lesson you were introduced to the CCTV and PAL methods of creative writing. As a recap, when writing using the CCTV method, you need to do the following. TBP. The big picture. Set the big picture in your opening paragraph. This is the introduction to what you are going to focus on. Then you zoom in on a particular object or thing in the picture and begin describing it in general terms. Focus on a smaller detail on the thing you have zoomed in on and describe this in more detail. Adding a linking sentence where you mention something else that you are going to describe before following the zoom in, focus and zoom out steps again in the next paragraph. Now let's see how I have created the big picture in my first paragraph. You will remember that last time I said the best way to think about writing in this style is to imagine you are a CCTV operator. So I'm going to go behind the camera right now and start positioning the lens and thereby controlling what I and you can see. Remember that the big picture is supposed to give you an overview of the action, so you have to be zoomed out so that everything can be seen, like a panoramic shot. We might go one step further and imagine that we have a bird's eye view of the action. Maybe we can see above the fair as if we were piloting a drone. The clamour and anticipation has been building for days since the first poster advertising the fair appeared in local shops and stuck to the posts of gas lights. There has been a certain nervous excitement in the air. Children make secret plans to attend without their parents, and mothers and fathers reluctantly agree to take their children just once, not knowing of their children's devious endeavours. Like a moth to a flame, children gravitate towards the bustle and rowdiness of the sideshows and freak exhibits. Parents repel like opposing magnetic poles, considering the inconvenience of pickpockets and violent encounters with out-of-towners. Looking at the first sentence, you can see I am beginning to set the fair in its context. I am building suspense, talking about it in an exciting way. You can see how I have made this sentence interesting by using 3 higher level words, and I am beginning to use a range of sentences. The section I have underlined is a compound sentence. So at the moment we could say that the sentence looks like it has been written by a student trying to achieve a grade 9. Let's now downgrade it to someone looking to achieve a grade 4 or 5 by saying the same thing but in a more simplistic way. People have been shouting about the fair and getting excited about it ever since the adverts for it were stuck on the lampposts and put in shops. You don't even need to write exactly what I did in the original example to achieve a high grade. Fill in the gaps with the words and pieces of punctuation from the bottom of the screen to prove this to yourself. You have 5 minutes. As you can see, you can still improve upon what I wrote. Using a semicolon sets you on the path to using a range of punctuation. Moving on to the next set of sentences in the big picture paragraph, you will notice that I've continued to distance myself from the action. I am not in the crowd or up in the air looking down, I am simply describing what has occurred previously in past tense. Remember, I am a CCTV operator. Camera operators witness things, they don't take part in them. However, I haven't forgotten to keep using an enhanced vocabulary. This is shown in the words reluctantly and devious endeavours. Also, I have used the adverb devious to build my description and show my reader that what the children are planning is sneaky and cunning. Now we can downgrade this section like this. People have been nervously excited about this. Children make secret plans to go to the fair without adults, and parents don't want to go but agree to take them once. They don't know that their children have already planned to go on their own. But you too can improve it. This time, you have 5 minutes to place high order vocabulary and enhanced punctuation in the gaps provided. You might be able to use words from the synonyms section of the first exercise you did. If not, use Google to search for synonyms now. Remember, you cannot use the words or punctuation I did in the original example. Hopefully that task went well. Whilst you were working on it, I came up with this. There has been a certain apprehensive energy in the air. Children make clandestine plans to attend without their parents, and mothers and fathers hesitantly agree to take their children just once, not knowing of their children's sneaky schemes. Moving on to the final section of this paragraph, I have started the sentence off with a piece of figurative language and then complement this with an adverbial phrase, before adding another simile for good measure. Once again, we can downgrade this section like this. Children are attracted to the loud noises coming from the sideshows and freak shows, but parents don't like it there as they are worried that they might get their pockets picked, or that they will have to fight with people that come to the fair from another town. But you can improve it. Change the similes to something equal or better, and see what you can do with the punctuation and experiment with the adverbial phrase. You have 5 minutes to complete this task. While you were working, I came up with this. Like bees homing in on pollen, children gravitate towards the hubbub of the amusements and stallholders yelling for attention. Parents recoil like a scalded cat, considering the inconvenience of pickpockets and violent encounters with drunken teenagers. So hopefully you can see that given the same picture, you can write a poor paragraph. People have been shouting about the fair and getting excited about it ever since the adverts for it were stuck on the lamppost and put in shops. People have been nervously excited about this. Children make secret plans to go to the fair without adults, and parents don't want to go but agree to take them once. They don't know that they have already planned to go on their own. Children are attracted to the loud noises coming from the sideshows and freak shows, but parents don't like it there as they are worried that they might get their pockets picked or that they will have to fight with other people come to the fair from another town. A decent paragraph approaching grade 9 territory. The clamour and anticipation has been building for days, since the first posters advertising the fair appeared in local shops and stuck to the posts of gas lights. There has been a certain nervous excitement in the air. Children make secret plans to attend without their parents, and mothers and fathers reluctantly agree to take them just once, not knowing of their devious endeavours. Like a moth to flame, children gravitate towards the bustle and rowdiness of the sideshows and freak exhibits. Parents repel like opposing magnet poles, considering the inconvenience of pickpockets and violent encounters with out-of-towners. As an alternative paragraph that at least matches the one I wrote in terms of quality, but using different vocabulary, literary techniques and sentence structures. The cacophony and suspense has been growing for days, since the advertisements emerged in the local shops and stuck to lampposts. There has been certain apprehensive energy in the air. Children make clandestine plans to attend without their parents, and mothers and fathers hesitantly agree to take them just once, not knowing of the children's sneaky schemes. Like bees homing in on pollen, children gravitate towards the hubbub of the amusements and stallholders yelling for attention. Parents recoil like a scalded cat, considering the inconvenience of pickpockets and violent encounters with drunken teenagers. So hopefully now you are beginning to see the CCTV method in operation and how focusing on changing keywords, phrases and punctuation types will enable you to enhance your grade. In the next video in this series, we will go through how to zoom in, focus and zoom out, enabling you to continue writing a compelling and thought-provoking piece of creative writing that will help you on your journey to achieving a grade 9. Thank you for watching. Please do like and subscribe this video, and remember to check out our website checkmatetutors.co.uk for more educational lessons and educational resources.